Hey everyone, what is up? This is Janelle Montgomery. How are y'all doing this evening? It is great to see everyone. Um, I love it. My husband came in here like, "What? What's going on?" He thinks I'm yelling at him or something. I was not yelling at him. Um, so it's great to see everyone. Uh, I love it. I love it. So today I want to talk about step 3 on how to stop the financial bleeding. Y'all, I know it can easily happen when you feel like your finances have overtaken you rather than you taking dominion over it, and we have to figure out what do we need to do, right? So we talked about step 1. I'm just going to get right into it. Talked about step 1 on, hey, let's find the source, let's find the symptoms of financial bleeding, right? Second one is yesterday, what we talked about is to create a budget. We talked about creating a budget, how to really look and analyze our finances by doing the AAA method. Step number 3, we got some good things, right? These are kind of simple, but they're not. It's Jim Rohn says it like this: what's easy to do is easy not to do, right? So he always talked about your health and just the simple things that you can actually do. And so what's easy to do is easy not to do. And so we're going to talk about the things that are easy to do, but then to really delve in a little bit more deeper so that you can have dominion over your finances, so that you are no longer a servant to money, but money's a servant to you. Hello, somebody, because in the Bible it says you can't serve two masters, right? Like you can't serve God and money and mammon, right? You got to serve one or the other. And so for me, I know I choose to serve God and allow the money to serve me. So if y'all are ready, go ahead and put some up in the comments, right? Put a yes, put a yes, I'm ready. Put something in there because listen, today is going to be amazing. It's going to be fire. So let's do it. So, man, all right. So step number 3, right? After we create a budget, right? And I would say that right now is the best time to go ahead and download your bank statements on just from February, right? See how much you spent. What happened in the last month, right? It's good to see what happened in the last month. So after you do that, now a good thing of what you want to do is actually um list your expenses, right? See everything that's outgoing. And once we recognize what's outgoing, you're going to put every single expenditure, right? Every single expenditure into one of these 4 categories. Again, you will want to write down these 4 categories. And the first category is expenses. What are expenses? Expenses is the cost required for something for consumption. And so expenses are something that you consume, like you spend the money, right? It's the amount that you spend, but it's something that has been consumed or used up, right? So you think about your utilities, you think about things that you actually use, food, transportations. There was a study by Bankrate that said that over three quarters of a person's like average American's income is spent on expenses, living expenses, right? Transportation, food, entertainment, like those types of things, right? Where we talked about consumption. And so I digress. I was getting ready to go chase a rabbit, but I'm not going to go chase a rabbit this time. So, expenses. So, if you know you spend money on food, rent, right? We're not talking about mortgage yet because that's the next category. So, rent, food, entertainment, just things that you spend to live day to day. So, that's the first category that you're going to have. The second category is liabilities. What is a liability? A liability is debt. So, meaning if you owe bigger balances that you're making payments on, if you have loans that you're paying back, you're going to include that. So, if that includes your car payment, that includes your mortgage, because your mortgage, you owe a bigger amount, right? You owe a bigger amount, usually on your mortgage, your car, right? Or something that you're making payments on of a whole total amount is going to be liability. So go through your bank transactions, go through your list, find out how much you've been spending on expenses and how much you've been spending on liabilities. So that's the second category, right? The third category is going to be your investments. Do you have any investments that you are putting your money towards? Because here's the thing, it's important that you know where to put your money. It's yes, it's great to make the money, but you want to make sure that you know where to spend your money, where to put your money. That's going to be the determining factor of whether or not if you're going to stay in the struggle mode, right, or the stable mode, right, to where you're not going over the budget, or that's going to determine whether or not if you're going to be in the success mode, or that's going to determine whether or not if you're going to be in the significance mode, where you're leaving a legacy, where you're thinking beyond the current circumstances situation. Myron Golden says that what what determines if you're poor, you're rich, middle class, right, is where how you spend your money. And so they said that the poor spend their money on expenses, right? Just trying to make it day to day, just trying to survive, right? The middle class tend to spend their money on obligations, debt, right? They live the middle class dream, the American dream of having a home and having a lot of loans and expenses and credit card debt, right? Because their credit's good. So they have tons of credit card debt. And then you have the rich, the wealthy, right? Where the wealthy are putting their money into two things. If y'all want to write this down, I already said one of them, that was investments, and the second one is assets. So what are investments? Let me go back to what an investment is. It's an item or an asset acquired with the goal of generating income, right? Future income or appreciation. So that is called an investment. So that's what an investment is. The fourth one is an asset, which an asset is something, and listen, I've taught accounting, so I did have to get pretty technical. This is just beyond your regular dictionary term, right? Because I actually get asked some of these questions in class as an accounting professor. What's the difference between an asset and an investment? So I talked about an investment is more for it's not currently in use, but it will produce, it will be in use in the future. So investment, right, you're putting money into something so that in the future it can give you something later, right, it can provide a return. One example, I didn't mean to make this an accounting lesson, but hey, I mean, what else are you going to get? I'm a CPA. So so an investment, as far as accounting terms, is that if I were to buy a building or a land, but I haven't done nothing with it, right? So when it turns into an asset, and that's the fourth one. So if you're writing these four things down, you have expenses, you have liabilities, you have investments, and then you have assets. What's assets? Assets is something that produces income and cash flow. Like they actively produce income and cash flow. When you're on the investment end, you're putting money into it with the goal. Again, a goal is something in the future, right? Of generating the income or or hoping that it will appreciate. So, this is what I want you to do. Once you go through all of your expenses and find out, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go through, find out how much you spent last month. And then here's something that I want you to do. It is going to require a little bit of math, but you're going to take the total amount spent on expenses and divide it by the total amount that was spent. So, what I mean is, if you have everything that you spent, you're going to go through and you're going to put, okay, I spent just $5,000 last month, just total, right? If I spent 4,000 on expenses, then what you're going to do is you're going to take 4,000 divided by 5,000, right? If I had 500 in liabilities, right? You're going to take $500, you're going to divide it by 5,000. So that shows that 10% of what you spent last month was on liabilities. And then a huge percent was spent on expenses. And then if you want to go through and see, okay, how much should I put into investments? So investments meaning stocks, right? If you invest into a retirement plan, whatever that is, that's going to be called an investment. And then if you have an asset, something that is generating income, meaning like rental property, right? Something that is generating income, a business, something that is producing income or cash flow. Where are you putting your money? This is going to determine if you're going to be able to dig yourself out the hole. So you may be asking a question of, okay, well, what if 100% of the money I spent is on expenses and liabilities? How do I get out of it, right? Well, this is where once you determine where you are as far as the proportion of how much you spend on expenses, liabilities, assets, and investments. Y'all, I'm like totally giving y'all like game. I'm just letting y'all know. So once you determine that, then what you'll want to do is, would you like to see any improvements? Do you want to have some money spent towards investments? Do you want to have some money spent towards assets? Because here's the thing, once you see a zero by either assets or investments, do you want to make a change? And that's where you'll be able to make a decision. Okay, what do I need to cut, right? And that's why I put in the description, cut expenses and add this instead. Because if we want to get out of the rat race of only paying expenses and having more month than money, then we have to start somewhere. And in the book called The Richest Man in Babylon, one of the things that the author really stressed was to actually go in, and everything that comes in is income you pay yourself, right? So the thing is, what I would say is that if you notice that if you are 100%, what do you do? What I would do is go through each of the expense categories and see where you can actually cut, right? Where can you cut expenses so that you can add to assets? There has to be something. If there's an intention there, there will be a way, right? Where there's a will, there is a way. And so what you want to do is say, okay, what do I want to commit to adding to investments? And here's the thing, don't get tripped up by the amount. Meaning, just because you don't have $1,000 a month to spend or set aside, don't worry about that. The thing that you want to do is you want to start setting aside money as soon as possible. What do I mean by that? With the expenses, because here's the reality. There are some things that may be expenses that you may not necessarily need, right? There are some things that you may be able to cut, right? In order for you to get into a habit to build an investment fund or an asset fund, right? So what I would do is open up a bank account, a savings account that's not easily accessible, right? And start automating your savings, start automating your transfers. So if you can go to your job right now. So here's one way to do it. You can go to your job right now. I've done this. Like if they allowed if they allow you, if the payroll department allows you to add a different account savings, to add a portion like $5 or $10 to go somewhere, definitely do that. Like, do it tomorrow or today. Not today. I mean, it's late at night unless the HR office is open, payroll office is open right now at 10:55 Central Time. So you want to wait to definitely do that. Fill out the paperwork, open up a bank account, have some money directed to there, because I guarantee you there are some expenses that you will not miss. So you won't miss it. It's going to go straight there, because here's the thing. Let's be real. You have your taxes automatically taken out. You have your, like, everything taken out, your taxes, your retirement plan, if you do have that taken out, or other things that are automatically taken out of your check. So you might as well go ahead and automate a portion of some of your money to go to a savings account, to where you have something that's building on the side, right? There may be another question I feel like that may be coming up, or not. I may not be able to read your comments right now. So if you do have any comments, oh, thank you, Andre. Hey. So if you do have any questions, let me know. But one of the things that I would do is definitely start that right now. There may be a question of, how about paying off all your debt first? Well, here's the thing. Things do pop up, right? I know people like to go to paying off debt first, but here's the thing. You want to go ahead and at least, now this is where I'm going to pull from other places of spending, having an emergency, a mini emergency fund of $1,000, right? You want to be used to having money. I know that sounds weird, because here's what I say. Everybody else is going to be grabbing for your attention for your money, right? There will always be bills, there will always be expenses. And I'm not saying, if you don't have $1,000 right off the bat, start saving towards money, start accumulating right away. I don't care how deep in a debt you are. I know this may be um, unconventional advice, but if you want to get to a place to where you're good, you want to listen to me. Like, you want to start setting aside money somewhere else so that it can accumulate. That's what I will say. Like, paying off debt is great, but you want to have some money set aside, and it will give you the confidence. Like, okay, I was able to save $500. Okay, here is $500 that I've been able to accumulate, because you are paying other bills. And again, it is in a form of consumption and not in a form of wealth accumulation. So if I were to tell you anything, please do that. Please do wealth accumulation, setting aside money, like, right now. So that's all I have. Let me know if you do have any questions, and I appreciate you all and your support. So yeah, so that is what I have, and y'all have an amazing, 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 amazing night. Be blessed.